Sekond Skin Society wasn't built as another fitness platform. It was born from Lee-Anne Reuber's conviction that movement should feel like home for every body, disabled, fully able, or anywhere in between. In this conversation, we talk about the moments that shaped her mission, the courage it took to build something new, and the community she's creating where belonging comes first. Thank you so much, Lee-Anne Reuber, for joining me here on AwareNow to share this space and share your story. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here.
Me too. Let's start this way. What was the moment? What was the moment that you realized the fitness world wasn't necessarily built with people for people with disabilities?
Oh gosh, there have been many moments, but I think the thing that changed the trajectory of the business to really have me kind of lean all the way into that was we kept getting feedback that people loved that we had both standing and seated class options. And that feedback led to a lot of conversations about seated and standing class options, which led to a lot more heightened awareness around accessibility or lack thereof in the fitness space. And I myself had a very large network of people with disabilities, throughout the years of my life. And I just started connecting and getting to understand more and more and more about where all those barriers are, where all of that exclusion exists, where the lack of representation is. And it's kind of one of those things that once you get into it, the deeper you dig, the more there is to find. And I just knew that there was much more that I could do and wanted to do. And here I am doing it.
That's awesome. And I love that this direction started with the feedback because you listened to your community, to your audience. So when you made the shift then for your studios to creating the Sekond Skin Society, what did that choice, did it cost you anything personally? Because not everyone would say, oh yeah, let's do this. And if so, what is it that kept you going?
Oh my goodness. I can't get into the full extent of it in a short period of time like this, but I have put everything I have into this. Literally everything I have. I sold my condo so that I could have more money to be able to pour into it. I sold my car so I could have more money to pour into it. I have made a conscious decision, and one that I know many, if not most people would never make, but I made the conscious decision to invest in this. Personally with, people around me, my partner who is supporting our household so that I can do this, he's certainly investing in all of this. It's the pull of my heart. And the longer that I'm working on this, the more I realize how much of all of my life's experiences from when I was a kid to a teenager to all of the toxic relationship I had with movement and with nutrition, the experiences that I had getting to know people with different life experiences, people with disabilities, all kinds of different human experiences, all of those things, the way my body is changing now, the way my hearing has declined, the way that I know, things are going to continue to change as I age. It's all of it has gone into this. And it's just this pull that has said, okay, on paper, maybe it doesn't look logical. Maybe it looks very, very risky. Maybe it is very risky, but the vision that I have had for this has always been so big, not that it has to be, but just because it always has been. And every time that I feel like I'm not sure where to continue to go or how to continue to build, when I've put so much into it, something else comes, another person enters my life, another person, will share about the impact that they are personally experiencing from the work that I and my team have done. And it's just like, I can go, another year just pouring everything into it with just that little bit of adding fuel to the fire. It's definitely life purpose work for me. And I've literally sacrificed and put everything that I have into seeing it come to fruition.
That is beautiful. And I love how you say why you pour all this in, because you do feel that pull. I always like to say that it's like when you, and you will get this 1,000%, once you hear a calling, you can't unhear it, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So to that point, you've created the space where people with disabilities feel seen, feel
Mm-hmm.
welcomed, feel accepted. Can you share maybe just one story that still hits you right here when you think about why you do this work? Is there some feedback, some story of sorts?
There are hundreds of those moments that make me very emotional, but one that I will share that landed with me is because it's really like just a small portion of the big vision, and that was having one meeting in particular with our entire instructor community. Now we have instructors who are deaf, who are blind, who have low vision, who are autistic, who use wheelchairs, all kinds of different people, non-disabled instructors, instructors with and without visible disabilities, and visible and invisible disabilities. And when we get together, when I envisioned us getting together and being able to talk openly about the industry and, our experiences, and then collectively add all of our perspectives and go, how do we want it to be different? How do we want to create it? If we were throwing out the box of the fitness industry or the yoga industry as it currently exists, and we were just creating it for ourselves with all these different perspectives in the conversation, how would we want to create it? That entire meeting was so powerful, but it was the most powerful because at the end, so many people were going, I've never been in a place like this. And this was just a virtual meeting on a Zoom room, but so many different people included and going, I've never been in a space like this with so many other people not like me and like me, where we are all here and we are supposed to be here. We're invited here. The space has been created so we could belong here, and we could share our gifts, and we could share our voices and our perspectives, and we could, give of our own experience and learn from other people's experiences, and then create that in how we develop our classes and essentially how we're developing our community. If we want to, I've always known this, we want to create a community that feels like, oh, I get to let my shoulders down and just be exactly who I am. We got to create that internally first. Yeah. And at the end of this one meeting in particular, people were in tears, very emotional, going, I've never been in a space like this before. And that, of course, after that call, I cried quite a long time because it was so emotionally impactful for me, going, oh, if we did it here, and that means that I know that we can do it here. And I just want people to have that experience. That everybody deserves to have that experience. Everybody wants to belong. Everybody wants to feel like they are fully accepted without having to change any part of who they are. Right. That's what we all want. All humans want that experience. And many, many, many humans don't get to have that experience, and to have that created in our space was really, really emotionally impactful for me.
I can only imagine just the description I can feel, and which speaks to your name, Sekond Skin, to say like how you can't get any more comfortable than that outside of your first and into your next. So, and you mentioned something there about instructors and all the different disabilities, but you said fully abled as well, of all kinds of abilities. So what made you feel it was important to build a community where disabled and fully able bodies share the same space? Because often it's one or the other. Pick a side, pick a world. Why was it important for you to build something that was truly inclusive, not just for some, but for all?
Yeah. I feel like that's how we change the world, is creating those spaces. Yeah. We are so separated in many different ways, and I think a lot of the world is hurting because of separation and segregation. And it is typical for communities to be for very specific groups of people. And I think that there is a need for that. There is a need to have a community that is just your own community. But I also believe in creating spaces where we can all be together because we have so much in common. And often what we focus on are all the things that are different. So if you have a disability and I don't have a disability, then we are different. And that's what we focus on rather than going, but we both love yoga, but we both love fitness, but we both love meditation, but we both love community, but we both love music, but we both love, the representation of, or we both love, understanding how other people experience the world. We both love culture. We both love all of those different things. Like if we could create more and more of those spaces where we are connecting on all those things that we have in common, and there are many, many, many of those things, I feel like that's how we can change the world. And specifically when it comes to having a disability or not having a disability yet, I feel like there's so many assumptions. I know there are many, many assumptions of what it means to have a disability, unfortunately. And those assumptions are wrong for the vast majority of the time. It's similar to when you think about, what fitness means, and it's this box that fitness fits within. It's a similar thing of when if you don't know people with disabilities and you are hearing someone talk about disability, you have an assumption of what that means, and it kind of fits within this box. That is because of lack of representation and authentic representation. That's because of barriers that exist for people with disabilities to work in certain fields or to do things that they want to do, right, because of lack of accessibility. And so if we create spaces where we're together and we're connecting on those things we have in common, it creates those opportunities for assumptions to change really organically, really quickly, and in a space that feels, we can certainly have judgment of ourselves when we become aware of assumptions that we have of others, but hopefully we move past that judgment and instead focus on, that's so interesting that I didn't think of someone who is blind being a yoga teacher. What else am I assuming of somebody else who is blind? And that curiosity, that space has so much potential to really change, our entire society. And I believe that's how we'll remove a lot of barriers, is creating more of these spaces where we come together, we get to know each other at that human level, and then we start to recognize that we are the ones standing in the way of opportunities. We are the barriers. Our assumptions are the barriers.
Yeah. Well, and we hear that word barriers a lot, like with barrier-free design and these kinds of things. But to your point, what if we are the ones who are creating the barriers for ourselves? So let's get personal here. If it was just you and I, two women talking about our bodies that we live in, the ones we've loved, struggled with, and fought with, what's one truth about your own body that you want people to finally hear?
I'm going to say this for other people, but I'm going to say it for myself also, because it's an important reminder. One truth is that my body is valuable exactly as it is right now, without having to change any part of it, without needing to be stronger or more flexible, without needing to have less curves here or more curves there, without any of the other things that we often think about when it comes to movement and why we should move our bodies. Usually, unfortunately, people have a mindset of wanting to move their bodies for a very specific outcome. And a lot of times that is to change them because we're not happy with them. And it's taken me a long time, a lot of years of, going through eating disorders and obsessive exercising and then actually, long-term burnout and having to kind of learn myself and forgive myself for a lot of the things that I put my body through, to finally come to a place where I move it, I show up for it. Even on the days that I rest it, I do it because it is valuable. I move my body because it is valuable, not because it won't be unless I move it, you know?
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, it's already valuable. All of our bodies are already valuable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I hear you, and that is unfortunate, right? We're doing this, but the why of it, like, why are you moving your body?
Mm-hmm.
To be something that it's not?
Yeah.
Or to be the version, to support the version that it is, or,
yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that powerful word, value.
Mm-hmm.
One more question for you today, my friend. When you imagine the world that the Sekond Skin Society could change, could create, what's the hope that pulls you toward it, no matter how hard the work gets?
It really is about changing society's view of our bodies and that value, and also changing society's view of disability. I think those are the two things that just keep me coming back from a personal, because I don't want to go back to those days where it was acceptable to have eating disorders. And right now we're in a time where it's acceptable to use, medications, and it's acceptable to do things that are not natural in order to achieve a certain look. I don't want to go back to those days. I don't want my nieces and my nephews to live through those days where they also are looking at their bodies with shame and with hate and frustration and wishing that they were different. And then also from that, disability perspective, because this industry has been so toxic, because all of those things have existed and I've experienced them, and many, many, many people have experienced them, and because it's been so exclusionary of people with disabilities, that is why I know that disabled people are the most able to change the industry. So if we all collectively are thinking about the value that our bodies hold, and we can have that as the mindset shift in the fitness industry, in the yoga industry, or movement in general, that we are valuable, and that is why we show up, and that is why we move our bodies, to value them more, to respect and appreciate them. And at the same time as we are doing that, we're creating that space, and we're bringing disabled people into this space where they have been excluded for this entire time. We also are creating that opportunity to shift society's view on what it means to have a disability. And to be quite honest, I think we can take that shift even further, thinking about, I said previously, not disabled yet, because we will all encounter mobility challenges, whether that is today through an accident or a diagnosis, or, circumstance, or later on in life because of aging. And if we are starting to think about solutions for all kinds of human experiences today, like my mind can't even go to what the world could look like in terms of innovation, in terms of, opportunity for so many people, and what that means. We've lived in this society now where only certain people get opportunities. And so only those people are the ones that are creating and innovating. If we bust that lid wide open, and everyone has an opportunity to be innovative and to be creative, it makes me so excited to think about the world that we'll get to live in, and the future generations coming up, and not having to fight to be seen and heard and valued. And at the end of the day, again, we all inherently want that. We all want that sense of belonging. We all want to feel good being exactly who we are. And to me, I'm doing it in my way, but I believe in that outcome as a result of the work that we're doing at Sekond Skin.
As do I. Excited to follow you on your journey, to support the journey that you're inviting everyone to be a part of. Thank you for sharing your story, Lee-Anne. Thank you for sharing Sekond Skin Society and for the work that you do. Thank you for helping all of us become a bit more aware now. Thank you so much.
Thank you.